Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. So today, I'm going to talk about something that maybe is the inverse of a video I've done in the not too distant past. All right, so I don't want to confuse people, but kind of looking at a trade from the opposite angle, right? Sometimes that helps me almost like avoid a mistake that I might like kind of see myself slipping into. All right, and before I confuse you anymore, let me kind of go over what I mean. So one of my favorite option strategies is when a stock, like a higher beta, typically volatile stock, goes through like a long period of consolidation, right? Because what happens, so one in the recent past was EA. So what happens is, well, you can see right here, right? So EA. So this was one I talked about a couple months ago. So this is a higher beta, typically more volatile stock that went through like a really long, multi-month consolidation, right? And what happens is you see the implied volatility contract on the contracts, right? As the intraday ranges tighten, as the overall volatility tightens, the implied volatility on the contracts is going to steadily creep lower until you get to the point where the implied volatility could typically be less than the historical volatility, right? So the average historical volatility is based off the history of the stock, and you could see the implied volatility actually be underneath it, right? Now, to me, I like looking at those setups when you have either like a breakout or breakdown, because what happens is once the stock starts to move, right, you start to see an expansion of the trading ranges and you start to see an expansion in the applied volatility. So I like to look at these long consolidations right when they're about to break out, and I'll try to like nibble on them when they're going, because then you can see either like a move higher in the stock and you could potentially capitalize that way on the calls, or you could see the implied volatility start to expand and you can also see the calls start to move higher, right? That's if it's breaking out, or if it's breaking down, it's the puts, right? Now, looking at that from the complete opposite side, right? If the overall ranges are high and the overall volatility is high and the stock is starting to consolidate, then that's when you don't want to be long options, right? It's like that's when you don't want to be long premium, because the intraday ranges are tightening and the implied volatility at an elevated level could start to work its way lower to get back into the historic level, right? So what you're seeing now is a lot of stocks that have had really significant higher implied volatility over like the near term, right? And now basically for the last week and a half, we've been chopping around and starting to form a consolidation. So I don't know if we're going to consolidate for a while, right? We've basically been consolidating for a little over a week, so I don't know if it's going to last for a while. But if it does, right, so like Amazon's like a good example, right? So Amazon's starting to really consolidate, right? So a name that was like particularly volatile over the last month, but now it's starting to consolidate. So you really got to be careful, right? And for me, when I'm starting to see consolidations, I'm trying to kind of like step back off the gas pedal a bit, wait to see how these things react, and then maybe focus on like the top or the bottom of the consolidation, right? So instead of trying to get involved in the middle of the consolidation and risk having it stay range bound for a longer stretch, what I'd be looking at is for potential move above the top or move below it, and kind of avoid it while it sits range bound, because I don't want to get caught up in that pattern where I just talked about, where you see higher implied volatility, wider ranges start to consolidate, and you see the implied volatility crunch on the options. All right. So I just wanted to go over that because as we start to chop around and consolidate, you're starting to see this play out a little bit more. So just something to keep an eye on there. All right. Now, if you like these videos and you're looking for more information on options trading or more information on options education, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options and play. Stay safe, stay healthy. We're going to get through this together. Have a great night, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.